that
Yes.
inner wellspring that we all
Yes.
have within us. And I think
Yes.
what we're doing, what all of us are, maybe all of us are doing, I don't have all the answers, but what I
Yeah.
think all of us are doing are reconnecting to that inner wellspring of
Yes.
wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's it.
Listen.
That's just like helping us to
Yes.
come back to ourselves and to remember ourselves.
Hello, and welcome to Your Free Voice with me, your host, Julia Norton. This podcast is for people who use their voice professionally or for fun, and they want to understand how it works a bit better, or to get over old stories that might be holding them back. My goal is to bring you lots of actionable stuff, from the technical to the creative to the deeply woo, to help you free your voice.
Oompa 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 oh ah oh ah 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 ah.
Jo-Anne Suriel, the energetic well, is a compassionate catalyst for transformation. With expertise in the akashic records, reiki and sound therapy, her grounded approach to healing guides you back to the infinite wellspring of your own inner wisdom. Jo-Anne Suriel, I am so excited to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Julia. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. And last night I spent considerable time tidying up my office and listening to your beautiful album. So I'm very excited that we're going to share a couple of tracks from that today to have people to have a little listen to what that's like. It feels deeply comforting right now.
Mm.
Actually, it feels like a bit of an audio hug.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Thank you so much for listening to it and supporting
yes,
it. And
yeah, of course,
honestly, I listen to it myself
yeah.
a lot, especially during these very chaotic times. The album really came from a place of love and
Yeah.
spiritual connection. And I know that you say in your intro that you sometimes get into the deeply woo, and
Yes,
this
yes.
album is deeply woo.
I
It came
love
from
that.
it came from a deeply woo place. Yeah.
I love it. Good. So we're going to go kind of deeply woo today. Um, I'm going to ask you some questions because there are, my audience is quite mixed, and people that listen to the show they range from voice actors, theater actors, people that want to sing, and people that are more interested in the Jungian coaching, depth coaching stuff, and a whole mix and range and combination of all of the above, right? So, um, yeah, so let's get into it. I know that you weren't always a singer. So how did you get your start singing and also with your energetic healing work?
Yeah. Well, that's a big question. I think no one really comes to energy healing from a place of like, oh, everything is hunky-dory and great. It really comes from a place within where you're desiring more balance, more peace, more love, really.
Mm.
And so in at the end of 2019, I was winding up a career in finance. I had been working corporate jobs for nearly 20 years. And at that point, my body was so broken. I had um, autoimmune diagnosis.
Mm.
I was in so much pain. I was in very, like, just a really toxic work environment and
Mm.
also a place where I wasn't listening to myself or my intuition because for many years I had the feeling like this isn't where I'm meant to be. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I started getting into Reiki because I experienced a bunch of miscarriages, unexplained,
Mm.
and every doctor was like, there's nothing wrong with you, everything's fine.
Mm.
But in my heart, I just knew that there was something that
Mm.
was off, and I thought maybe it's something energetic. And so I don't even remember when this word Reiki like came into
Mm.
my consciousness, but it landed there, and
Mm.
something within me said, I need Reiki. So I sought
Mm.
out a Reiki master, had one Reiki session, and somehow after that got pregnant, had a beautiful pregnancy,
Mm.
had a healthy birth. But then after that, these autoimmune symptoms came in very, very strongly.
Mm.
So I kind of muddled through. I did some dietary modifications. I reconnected to Reiki. But then in 2019, I was finally fired from my private equity job, which
Right.
felt like such a blow to the ego, but actually was such an extreme blessing because at
Yeah.
that point I had already been studying Reiki. Um, I had already had the inkling that I wanted to do something different. And so
Mm.
that gave me the permission to go further into my spiritual practice.
Mm.
So after that happened, I met another spiritual teacher who goes by Mama Medicine. Her name is Deborah Hannicamp, and she uses a lot of music in her ceremonies and in her one-on-one sessions,
Mm.
specifically the voice.
Mm.
So that gave me some license to be like, okay, why don't I use my voice,
Mm.
in my Reiki sessions? Why don't I use that? And many years ago when I was in college, I had done a lot of African dance and then got into Afro-Caribbean dance
Mm.
with the music.
Mm.
And I actually studied in Cuba. I studied with a bunch of Cuban teachers, learning the songs of the Yoruba people, which
Mm.
are the people of West Africa, um, modern day, like Nigeria, Ivory Coast area.
Mm.
But these songs were channeled through approximately 6 centuries ago
Mm.
for these deities, which are kind of like archangels between the earthly realm and the divine. So I learned those songs 25 or so years ago, and they resonated so much within me,
Mm.
and I wasn't really doing anything with
Mm.
them except
Mm.
for singing them on occasion to myself, using them in my meditations, but I started using them in my sound bath and Reiki ceremonies. And yeah, that's kind of where it started, was that vocal activation
Mm.
through this healing practice.
I love that. What a fantastic story. So just on the physical realm for now, have you mostly come to manage your autoimmune situation?
Yeah.
Is that like somewhat resolved or?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like all my labs are fine, but I do have some symptoms that pop up here and there. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
so yeah, it's been an
Yeah.
interesting journey that has been kind of back and forth, but I think it's developed within me so
Mm.
much within my own practice. And I think I was always a pretty compassionate person,
Yeah.
but I think that this experience has even deepened that
Yeah.
to allow me to have so much compassion for people who are on all different stages of their
Right.
healing journey and who are
Right.
taking very like kind of meandering or just diverse approaches because I've done some of the conventional
Mm.
approaches, but
Mm.
I've mostly relied on the energetic and
Mm.
sort of like wellness type wellness
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
like holistic solutions.
Yeah.
And they've been very powerful.
And so was because your family of origin, your first generation, um, Filipino, Dominican,
Yes,
American?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And so what was the kind of, I want to ask, normally I ask people about their, like the acoustic environment, like how do people use their voices? What was the home filled with? But also I want to know that, but I also
Yeah.
want to know like about the spiritual piece too. Like, was that an open conversation or how was that?
Super interesting because both of those countries are very Catholic. So they
Right.
were colonized nations, um, to the point where I think, especially in the Philippines, the Filipino indigenous religions are so strong
Mm.
that when the colonizers came in and imposed their own practices,
Mm.
you see this phenomena where the colonized take those practices and like kind of blow them up in a way that has to be extremely big and extremely
Mm.
kind of like severe
Yeah.
because what has reached the the colony is like, or the colonized nations is so watered down
Mm,
in comparison to like the richness and the strength of the
mm,
indigenous practices. So it's a very interesting thing that's happened. I see it in other countries too.
mm.
But definitely since my mother is from the Philippines, my dad's from the Dominican Republic. And usually, in the home, the mother is more of the culture bearer. But both of my parents were very, very, very into Catholicism. I think my dad at one point considered going into the priesthood.
Right,
And
right,
honestly, when I was very young, I have an aunt who is actually a nun,
right.
who was a nun in the Dominican Republic, and that that kind of devotion,
Mm,
that kind of like singular focus and devotion
mm.
really appealed to me. Just having
Right.
that like really deep connection and really
Yeah,
strong motivation to be of service.
yeah.
So I think that piece has stayed with me.
Mm.
But in terms of, conversations about other,
Yeah.
like things beyond the scene, it is kind of interesting, how much I share with my parents. They do understand that there's more to life than the
Yeah,
scene. And
yeah,
I think that
yeah,
religious background actually helped them
yeah,
with that.
yeah.
But then there are also indigenous practices, nature-based practices in both of those countries that aren't, science-based,
Yes.
aren't, double blind, placebo
Yeah,
tested. And my
yeah.
parents are actually both physicians, so they really honor the science, but at the
Mm.
same time, I think coming from
Hmm.
a multicultural background and seeing, more of a worldly perspective and more of a perspective that is grounded in the earth.
Mm,
I think here in the US we're so,
mm.
and especially now it's like you buy, I mean, I don't buy chicken, but this kids came up, you buy
Mm.
a chicken and it's like
Yeah,
it's wrapped in plastic and
yeah,
styrofoam,
yeah,
maybe. I don't know if it
yeah.
still is, but where my parents grew up, there were chickens like walking around, and they
Yeah.
would, do what they needed to eat.
Well, I remember from the period of time when I was living in West Africa, when somebody went to buy a chicken from the market, they would buy a live chicken and carry it upside down by the feet on the bus and walk home with it upside down by the feet and then kill it themselves when they got home.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
totally different relationship with your food, right?
Yeah. And I think when we have that relationship with our food, we have a different relationship to
Yes.
nature,
Yes.
and when we have that closer relationship to nature, we're
Yeah.
more open to a closer relationship or a more direct relationship to the spiritual.
Great. Okay. So, because I have to always try and get us back onto the tangent of the voice as well.
We could go
So,
in so many directions,
I
Julia.
know. It's like, this is the thing. It's always so fascinating when I get to talk to people because I genuinely just kind of want to know all the things. So, let me ask you this. In your introduction, um, it says you have expertise in the akashic records. Is that how you say it? Akashic?
Yes. Hmm.
So, for my listeners that don't know what that is, and
Hmm.
to clarify also for me, what is that?
Yeah. I mean, I always like to say that these are all just names,
Yeah,
that we give
sure.
to these
Yeah,
practices that
yeah.
are really older than the names themselves. But what the Akashic Records refers to is your soul's history, essentially.
Mm,
So every thought, every action that you take, everything that you do creates a frequency. And
mm-hmm,
those frequencies are embedded into your soul's history.
mm,
So the Akashic Records is like a record, or some people like to say a library,
mm,
but I like to think of it more as like a database because that
mm-hmm,
feels more dynamic and
mm,
more
mm-hmm.
um, kind of not in the physical.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a record of your soul's journey throughout lifetimes, past, present, future. And with an Akashic Records reading, we tap into your soul's journey with your spirit team, all of the guidance that is guiding you in this lifetime and
Mm,
previous lifetimes and future lifetimes, to see, what it is that you're working through right
mm,
now
mm.
and how you can come into greater alignment.
Wow, how fascinating is that? Because I feel like, I'm very, I feel like the soul's journey thing is quite tangible to me. Like that feels, well, tangible and not all at the same time, right?
Hmm.
But I know for a certain, when my son was born, and it had been a long and kind of somewhat arduous labor, and I held him in my arms, and he looked straight into my face, I was surprised to start with, and I had this really striking sense that he had definitely been here before, like he had this wisdom, and he was kind of an old soul as a little
Hmm.
boy too, and a little bit different. Um, and of course, I think even just with epigenetics and the idea of us carrying ancestral grief or trauma or all these different things, it feels like more and more people are starting to understand that just this kind of skin suit that we're all traveling around in isn't it. It's not
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So tell me how you might use your voice. Do you use your voice in those sessions, or
I
is that
mean,
more in the Reiki realm?
I use my voice, I mean, because the speaking is really, it's really a transmission.
Yeah.
And when you connect to your Akashic records, there's like a little, it's like a mini sort of ceremony.
Yeah.
The words that you speak are really powerful.
Yeah.
And it's not just the words themselves, but I think it is the frequency, the tone, and
Mm,
the person receiving that
mm,
receives the healing not only from my voice, but
mm,
from being in this space of the Akash. And the Akash, it's a Sanskrit word that is, it means primary substance, or it
mm,
means sky, or
mm,
like the divine in the
mm,
sky. So you're really connecting to this greater wellspring.
mm,
And yeah, so I don't really use my voice in those readings if I'm just doing an Akashic record reading.
mhm, mhm.
So what I've developed is a a different kind of reading called, I call it the energetic well reading, because I wanted to
Okay.
combine all of my gifts into one
Mm.
package. I
Yes, I
wasn't
love it.
really interested in names. I feel like these names too are, it's the well, it's like the wellness of well, but
Yes,
then it's
yes,
that inner wellspring that we all
yes,
have within us. And I think
yes.
what we're doing, what all of us are, maybe all of us are doing, I don't have all the answers, but what I
Yeah,
think all of us are doing are reconnecting to that inner wellspring of
yes,
wisdom.
yes.
Yeah, and that's
That's
it.
it.
That's just like helping us to
Yes.
come back to ourselves and to remember ourselves.
And so in
So,
so in those readings, in your energetic well readings, you might combine Reiki and this Akashic record stuff, and
right.
sound
Yeah.
healing with bowls and singing and all the things.
Yes. So it really starts as an Akashic Records reading where we
Mm-hmm.
go in and have a conversation, see what's coming up currently, if there are
Yeah.
any sort of repeated patterns, anything
Mm,
you're struggling with
mm,
or kind of wondering about.
mm,
And then we'll I'll have you lie down, and
mm,
then we'll do Reiki and
mm,
sound.
mm.
And that's all very intuitive,
Yeah.
that's super, super woo. Like the sound, especially, I use the voice so much. And the voice, actually, I don't always use the voice, actually. I often use the voice, but whatever comes through is like whatever I'm receiving that
Yes.
person needs to heal. So sometimes it is a song for the Orishas.
Yeah.
Um, but often it's really just like what some people would call soul language or light
Mm.
language, just
Yes.
the frequency of my voice
Yes.
coming through
Yes.
to connect with your frequency and help
Yes.
it sort of
Yes.
come to a place of harmony.
I love that. I sometimes get I don't know if it's similar at all, but when I'm working one on one with folks, um, doing the voice movement therapy, Jungian coaching, voice connection stuff, um, sometimes I will feel compelled to vocalize either alongside them when they're doing a movement journey, or as a support in the container for where they are, or just sometimes I just feel compelled to
Yeah.
make sound in some kind of way. Sometimes they're drama and all the other things, but um, yeah, that's fascinating. So, did you always? So, you said to me just before I hit record that um, the album, having the confidence or the inspiration to make the album was more recent, or did you ever have hesitation about using your voice in your work? Because obviously it's a major part
Yeah.
now. Did you ever feel, because lots of people that I work with just feel like they don't have permission, or they're not, experienced enough or something,
Yeah.
did you ever have that, or did it just come with spirit first and then everything opened?
Oh yeah, I definitely had that. That kind of like my voice isn't
Mm.
good, isn't like
Yeah.
good or like
Yeah.
isn't enough.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I have so many thoughts on that. Like even from the eighth grade, I was turned down. I was rejected from the eighth grade like audition choir and
Yes.
thought like, oh,
Mm.
I guess that means I can't sing. And I was also into dance then, so I was like, all right, I'll just focus on dance and like
Mm.
not really singing. And then yeah, and but and then when I started learning the songs for the Orishas, I was living in an apartment in Brooklyn, and the shower is like that's like my recording studio. That's like the
The
best,
best place
acoustic.
ever.
Everyone sounds good in the shower. And I
Yes,
remember I was
definitely.
like belting it out in the shower in my Brooklyn apartment, and I hear this, shut up. Someone's just,
From a neighbor?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
I was kind of like, oh, I thought I sounded good.
I love that.
Yeah. So there were like moments like that. But when I started studying with Mama Medicine and hearing her voice, which was just like is extremely beautiful, but also very natural, and hearing
Yeah.
her stories too of being made fun of for her
Yeah.
voice,
Yeah.
being told not to sing, um, I was kind of like, the feminist in me is like, how dare you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how dare you tell me not to sing? How
Yeah.
dare you tell me to
Yeah.
shut up? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sing. Like, and if you don't like it, then, you know, okay, you don't have to. Like,
Yes.
it's also part of I think my journey of like not having to be liked by everyone, because
Oh.
that has been something like I've had many careers, and throughout those careers, I'm usually like the person that like everyone likes, everyone can come to.
Mm.
And yeah, maybe that's part of my personality.
Mm.
But by the time I got to my last job, I think it
Mm.
was like, it was just like, okay, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have
Yeah.
to say things that I don't want to say. I don't have
Mm.
to be inauthentic to myself. So using
Mm.
my voice feels authentic.
Mm.
And it's been just part of that awakening. And I think it's
Yes.
been part of my growth
Yeah.
spiritually as well. So I've been leading these song circles also around the full moon.
Yeah.
And that I learned also from Mama Medicine. But part of that it's not at all learning about technique. It's
Mm.
really about just reclaiming your voice and
Yeah.
the power of self-healing through singing.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's huge. And I think that just the prevalence of so many pop-up community choirs in the last 5 years ish, 6 years, really shows you that people are starting to finally absolutely get it. That
Yeah.
that that it almost doesn't even need to be air quotes kind of spiritual singing. Just being in community with people and raising your voice is transformational. It
Yeah.
heals trauma. It helps us self-regulate. It works with the breath, and everything is made better by singing. I think we can all.
Literally.
I
Yeah.
think we can agree.
Literally everything is made better by singing, not just in that physical, mental, and spiritual, but even like your your energy shifts, especially with a more regular practice. I think you
Yes.
start to say what you want to say,
Yes.
which sounds really simple,
Yeah.
but it's actually
It's
huge because
not.
how
Yeah.
many of us go throughout our day, biting our tongues,
Mm,
saying things that we think other people need to hear,
mm,
and denying the things that we need
mm,
to express.
mm,
If you go through your day and just like notice,
mm,
like, when am I saying something that I don't
mm,
actually want to say?
mm.
It'll probably be more often than you think.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this practice has been so much of a healing for
Yeah.
me personally and for
Oh,
others too.
I love it. And honestly, you and I could have a series of just talking about this stuff because I feel like there's so much we could talk about. And just the you know the need to be liked and not to be rejected from your clan, and feminism and the voice and so many. There are so many areas of richness that we could dive into. However, I do want to make sure that people have a chance to have a little listen to a couple of tracks from your album. So tell me what inspired this album. What's it called? How can people get it? Just give us a little intro.
Oh, well, the album is called The Remembering, and it's really a collection of, I call it frequency medicine songs to help you return to balance. And like you said, it kind of helps to ground you, it kind of helps you to remember who you are. So it's available on all streaming platforms and on
Mm.
Bandcamp, it's just
Mm.
FYI.
Bandcamp is better though, folks, because you can actually go and buy it and support the artist rather than them just never ever getting any money from their music,
I
which is
know. I
a
got my
bummer.
first
Yeah,
actually I got my first streaming payout the other day for
32
like
cents.
thousands of streams. Yeah, it was $14 for
Woohoo!
seven
That's big
like
money. Yeah,
thousands of streams. I'm like, "Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
How does anyone do this?"
Yeah, no, it's absolutely so Lullaby Island, my album came out in 2007, and at the beginning it was CDs, right? People were buying
Mm,
CDs. And then
yeah.
CDs kind of went away and it went, "Oh, it's okay because you're going to stream and you're going to get paid by stream." And I started to get like little bits like that of like, $12 this month. Woohoo. And again, for thousands of streams, thousands, right?
Yeah.
And it is insane. So if you, and this is just a word to everybody, and actually, I don't even have Lullaby Island on Bandcamp. I realized I need to get it on there because that's a total error in my just disorganization. My mind is so disorganized sometimes it's not on there. It will be on there. But if you want to support an artist that you love, just go and buy their album on Bandcamp and download it and play it at your own pleasure. Okay. So and so then you thought to yourself, I'm going to make this album and it's going to heal people and I'm going to have a good time making it.
Yeah, I mean that was really it. So I started using some of my songs. So I started writing my own songs, which kind of wasn't anything I had planned to do, but
Mm-hmm.
my teacher, Deborah, was writing her own songs, and then I was noticing people in her community would show up with their own songs. So I was kind of like, they're
Mm,
not professional musicians that I
right.
see. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe I'll write a song. And
Yes.
so again, in the shower, this is like a theme. Like a lot of my inspiration
Yes.
comes in the shower because, there's no
Yes.
distractions.
Yes.
You have this water flowing. I had this rhythm come through and I was kind of like, and then these words came to it, and that became Elements Incantation. That was my first song.
Oh, yes. Would you like me to play? I'll play a little clip of that. Or is that the first one you'd like me to play?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a little listen to Elements Incantation. Through the air and water I can see. Through the earth and fire I will be. Through the air and water I can see. Through the earth and fire I will be. I have all that I need within me. Blood and body, breath and spirit free. I have all that is, and it's just a tiny little. So if you want to hear the rest of that, you have to go to Bandcamp and get it from there. That is glorious, and I love the slow build as the drum starts coming in, and it's quite it builds people,
Yeah.
and there's something, isn't there, about coming back to the elements,
Yeah,
right?
and that's really a theme throughout the entire album. Air, fire, water, and earth, the
Yeah,
elements, and really knowing that we have all of the elements within us and that the
yeah,
elements of nature are always supporting us.
yeah,
And that's really all that you need.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
need so many. We're like fed these instructions that we need like to
yeah,
consume and like buy all of these things when
yeah,
really often they're just distractions and they're
yeah,
taking us away. I mean, sure, we need things sometimes, we
yeah.
need,
Sure, sure. Yeah.
but like on like a really deep level, we really don't need anything at all.
That's right. That's right.
And that we have everything we need
Yeah,
within us.
I love it. Well, let's play another song. Uh, how about something completely different? There's this song called Red Clover. Did you write that one as well?
I co-wrote that with my friend Cami Spear, who um, such an interesting story. So she's a fashion designer and just like fabric maven, and she sent me this beautiful altar cloth, which I happen to have with me. So
Oh,
these are
look
red
at it!
clover. I didn't intend
Yes.
to have this for this purpose, but it just happens to be
Yeah,
here.
it is there. It is.
Yeah, so she sent me this altar cloth, and it came with a little pamphlet, which was a transmission from the fairies. And I
Mm,
remember thinking, wow, this is so beautiful. And I held on to it. And then a few years ago, I was hiking in the foothills
mm,
of the Rocky Mountains,
mm.
and I heard this chorus in my head, red clover. Because I was seeing red clover. If you go
Yes.
hiking anywhere
Yeah.
in the US and many other
Yeah. Yeah.
places
Yeah.
in the world, you'll see this, it's considered a weed called red clover.
Yeah.
But red clover is really a plant of community, and it's one that is very much associated with the fairies and remembering the sweetness of life. So,
Well, the bees
yeah,
certainly love it, right?
yeah. So I integrated her text with my words and chorus, and then my collaborator Nico Espinosa came up with the drum pattern, and it was
Mm.
just like
Ah,
everything with this. It was just divinely guided magic.
I love divine magic and some music. Okay, let's have a little listen to Red Clover.
Red clover, 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 red clover. Just like Camry said, the sun will let go in your head. Red clover, there is perch against our stems. Red clover, red clover, when you're young. Red clover, red clover, when you're red clover. They are deciding what to do. Listen close and they'll sing to you. Flowering sweetness of life, it's true. Their best idea was
Oh, it's so hard to turn it off.
you. Thank you. And that's my daughter is singing on there too. Just
Oh, that's lovely. I wondered who the young person was.
yeah.
Okay,
And
awesome.
also I have to share that my friend, so another witchy, I have like all these witchy friends, and my friend Samantha, who has a flower essence company called The Spiral Path,
Okay.
made this flower essence called In Communion, which you hear in that song. But the flower essence has red clover Jack in the Pulpit and Fern, which are
Oh,
all
wow.
these plants that help us reconnect to ourselves, come
Mm-hmm.
home to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
to honor, you know,
Mm.
our journeys in this lifetime.
How lovely. And I'm getting quite struck by how this album also feels like quite a kind of community kind of
Oh yeah.
effort in a
It
way.
was such a collaboration, even the
Yeah.
making of it, because, you know, I shared elements incantation with
Mm-hmm.
friends, and then I shared another song, and then another song, and then people were like, "Your song helped me, you know, feel more grounded." And then another person said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, your song helped me like come
Mm-hmm.
back from like a panic attack." Like, your
Mm-hmm.
song helped me
Mm-hmm.
just feel more connected. And so I was kind of like, wow, all right, maybe I should record this. But I had no idea about recording. Like, I don't record
Yeah.
music. And then I
Yeah.
was telling my friend Stephanie about this, and she said, "Oh, you should talk to my husband, Nico. We just built a recording studio in our basement." So I was kind of
Wow.
like, okay, you know, you can't make this up.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
talked to Nico, and he was like, "Yeah, let's record a few songs." So we recorded a few songs. He's a drummer in a
Right.
punk rock band
Ah,
called Native Son. You know,
yes.
totally different genre,
Uh-huh.
but he wanted to get into recording, and he's an
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
engineer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
amazing multi-instrumentalist musician.
Yes.
So he did a
Yes.
lot of the instruments in the
Yeah.
on the album,
Yeah.
and really just did so much in coming up with the music to all
The
of the pieces.
rhythms are really interesting, I have to
Yeah.
say, in those first two. And I love how that one, the vocals kind of rolling around the rhythm, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all Nico. He came up
Yeah.
with that
Beautiful. Yeah.
with especially, you know, the tambourine,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
So
Very, very
we
nice.
recorded a few songs, and then I was kind of like, I just started getting this message like it needs to be an album. Like, it
Yeah.
needs to be an album. So I said to Nico, like, how many songs do you need for an album?
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know, maybe like 10. So
Yeah, right.
let's
It
do
feels like a
10.
good number.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do 10.
Yeah.
Let's do 10. So
You
that's
see,
how it became
people?
an album.
Yeah, exactly. This is how you make an album. Tell your friends you want to make an album,
Yeah.
and then it will just magically, come in front of you that you will be able to do the things.
And I think that's the power of the voice too, because like,
Yes.
how many people have these dreams that you never talk about, you know? Like, oh, I'm gonna be made
Right.
fun of, you know, I'm gonna be mocked if I say like,
Yes.
oh, I wanna record a song. Like who am I to record a song? And
Yes.
who's anyone to record a song?
Yes. This is
It's
exactly it, right? It's this unconscious stopping of ourselves because we are, terrified that somebody's going to tell us no, or that we're going to fall down on our face, or that we won't get permission, and so we don't ask. And people go to their graves with, untried dreams, and sometimes it's really not that big of a deal,
yeah,
right? But it feels like such a massive big deal when you're not doing it,
right.
right?
And like,
Yeah.
I was not ever, I had not ever thought of myself as a singer. I was 47 when this album was
Yeah.
released.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, you know, who am I
Yeah.
to like release an album? This is
Yeah.
for people who are younger than me, or people who are like
Yeah.
more interesting than me, you
Right.
know, but
Right. It was
like,
such crazy
but
stuff.
I've gotten so much amazing feedback from
Yeah.
people who have been really touched by this
Yeah.
work. And part of it is in that spiritual journey, knowing that none of this is really about me anyway.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even my voice, I feel like it's an amalgamation of me, my ancestors,
Yeah.
and spirit coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
So to think it's just me anyway is like
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit small. I don't know, small,
Yeah. No. 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 I
small
totally.
minded.
Yes, that's right. Because so one of the things I try and when I'm working with clients is like, just let your voice come through you, right? Stop trying to do stuff to it. Like, just can we just like make ourselves more of a vessel for it to just come through? Obviously, there's technical stuff that can make it easier. Obviously, there's mindset work that can make it easier. But ultimately, we're wanting what you're talking about right now, which is that just being open to what is coming through and letting it out without judgment or or perfectionism or just letting it come out, right? Because I can
Right.
feel the energetic resonance of this album when I'm listening to it. It really does feel quite tingly in a
Mm-hmm.
way, which is lovely.
Yeah, and different people have different responses,
Of
you know, different
course.
we all hear differently, we all sound differently.
Yeah.
I thought it was the most beautiful thing when I heard that your voice is really like a snowflake. You know, no one else has the
That's
same
right.
voice as you do because of
Yeah. Yeah.
your genetics, your physical structure,
Yeah. Yeah.
your energy, your
Yeah.
nutrition. Like there's so many factors that go into
Yes.
it that your voice is absolutely unique. And
Yeah.
there have been so many voices that have touched me in a way that really brought about like an awakening, you know, or some
Yes.
kind of emotional release or some kind of soothing. And
Mm.
so your voice might be the one that
Mm.
someone else needs to hear, even if it's like one
Yes.
person in like a, you know, several billions, you know,
Yes.
that person's life could be changed, you know,
Yes.
from
Yes.
hearing your voice in its most raw state
Mm-hmm.
or in
Mm-hmm.
its most like natural state, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the even some of the songs on the recording, I think Nico did an amazing job. But sometimes I do like personally I don't love like the way I sound in like every single second
Sure.
of this album. Yet I know that it's helping people to feel
Yes.
more grounded and more connected. So I'm kind of
Yes.
like letting it go and letting it be what it needs to be without without my like ego attachment to it.
Yeah. I love that. So, okay, because I know we're running out of time, um, I want to just. I wanted to play Witchlight, but guys, you're going to have to go and listen to Witchlight. Go and listen to the whole album. Do yourselves a favor. It's very, very beautiful, and it, like we're saying, it's got this energetic connection, and it feels just very, very useful for right now. It feels like actually quite practical, like hydrating enough and getting some exercise. Like let your energetic self be tended to on a
Yeah.
daily basis. Why not? Right? Yeah. So before we wrap up, is there anything you wish I'd asked you that I didn't ask you, or anything that you'd like to share, events that you have coming up? I will definitely be sharing the links for the album in the show notes. And where can people find you on social media, etc.?
Yeah, you can find me. My website is theenergeticwell.com. I'm on social media at theenergeticwell. And I have virtual events. I do a song circle around the full moon
Mm-hmm.
every month. I do events in New York City. Um, I do corporate events. I do
Mm-hmm.
retreats. I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, sure.
and I'll be teaching Reiki if anyone is interested in that in person in New
Yeah.
York City on
Okay.
June 6th and 7th.
Yeah.
And that's such a great foundation, I think, just for anyone who is thinking about anything spiritual,
Yeah.
because Reiki is such a beautiful, gentle, easy to learn practice that you can
Mm.
actually learn in one weekend, and it
Mm.
can change your life,
Mm.
honestly, and how
Mm.
you move through the world feeling more connected to the
Mm.
energy around you. So
Mm.
I
Yeah.
recommend anything where you can kind of tune in to yourself, you
Yeah.
know, because we live, especially me living in New York City, there's so much stimulation. But even if you live
Yes.
anywhere, we're all
Yeah.
so stimulated
Yeah.
that we've forgotten our own inner wellspring of wisdom, you know? So
Mm.
that's something that I just wish people would tune into more, even if it's sitting in silence for a minute a
Mm.
day and
Mhm.
listening to your breath.
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
so much wisdom within you. I guess that's the words I want to leave people with. And thank
Yes.
you, Julia, for all of your gifts and for being so inspiring and for in your intro,
Oh.
like your quack. That I think really helped me because I'm like, this amazing, beautiful voice is like quack, 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 quack.
Well,
And
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I
There
think
has to
that
be
is just,
silliness.
yeah, you have to play. You have to
Yeah.
really just be in that beginner's mind no matter
Yes.
how far along you've been on your journey. And so I thank
Yes.
you for that and for also for your 5 minute warm up, which I used every time before I recorded.
Oh, hooray! I'm so
Yeah,
glad it was useful. I'm so
amazing.
glad it was
Thank you.
useful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I am sure that everybody's going to really enjoy this episode. So please, everyone, go and find the album. There's going to be links in the show notes. Follow her on all the socials. And Jo-Anne, thank you so much for coming in today. It's been a real pleasure. I wish we'd had 2 hours, honestly. But anyway, this is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you being here. If you had a chance, could you help me out and write a review and rate this? Because otherwise, I'm going to be buried so deep in the algorithm, nobody's going to ever find me. Okay, thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye bye.